I hadn't seen Eric in years. We used to work together back in my early 20s, and when I lost my apartment last fall, he was the only person who offered to help. "Come stay here for a while," he said. "I've got space." He lived alone in a small one-bedroom house just outside the city. Quiet, nothing fancy. A little too quiet, honestly. No neighbors, no traffic, no internet. But I was desperate. The first couple of nights were fine. He cooked, we watched old DVDs, caught up on life. I thought maybe this was the reset I needed. But by the end of the first week, something started to feel off. He never let me leave the house alone. Said the road outside was sketchy, that there were people who watch. One night I mentioned going into town to grab some things. He just stared at me and said, "Why would you need to leave? I've given you everything you need." I laughed it off. He didn't. The next day I noticed the front door had a new lock. From the outside, I checked my phone. No signal. The next night, I pretended to fall asleep on the couch. At around 2 a.m., I heard him walking around. His footsteps crept closer, then stopped near me. I kept my eyes shut. I heard the soft click of a camera. He took a picture. I stayed frozen, barely breathing. In the morning, I said nothing. Neither did he. But when he left to run errands, I searched the house. In the back of his bedroom closet, I found an old shoebox. Inside were dozens of printed photos. All of people sleeping. Different people, different places, all with dates written on the back. I flipped through them in horror until I reached the last one. It was me. From 2 nights ago. I didn't wait for him to come back. I climbed out the bathroom window and ran through the woods until I reached a gas station with a payphone. When I called the police, they told me Eric had a record. Nothing violent, just petty stuff. But he'd also changed his name. Twice. By the time they got to the house, it was empty. He was gone. I've moved 3 times since then. I keep my doors locked. I stay in busy places. But every now and then I get this feeling like I'm being watched again. Sometimes. I wonder if there's a new picture of me sleeping. My aunt and uncle invited me to stay the night at their place while my parents were out of town. They live in a quiet suburb. Nice house, quiet street. Too quiet. They set me up in their guest room. It was cozy, but weirdly cold, even with the heater on. I brushed it off and got ready for bed. At around 1 a.m., I woke up to the sound of footsteps, not from upstairs, from inside the room. I sat up, heart racing. No one was there. I checked my phone, 1:04 a.m. The footsteps stopped, but I had this heavy feeling, like someone was watching me. I turned on the lamp beside the bed. That's when I noticed something. The guest room had a small chair in the corner. It was facing the wall when I went to bed. Now, it was facing the bed. I didn't move for what felt like an hour. I just stared at it, convinced if I blinked, I'd see someone sitting in it. Eventually, I got the courage to turn the chair back around and leave the lamp on. The next morning, over breakfast, I casually mentioned the footsteps and the chair. My aunt paused. "You know," she said, "we've had a few guests mention things like that. Footsteps, cold air, the chair turning." She looked uncomfortable. Then she added, "We found out last year the previous owner was renting the house out to people without telling the neighbors. Sometimes strangers would sneak in through the basement window to crash here." I didn't know what to say. Then she said something that stuck with me. "That window in the guest room, it doesn't lock properly. We've been meaning to fix it." I didn't stay another night. When my parents got back, I told them everything, every detail. They were silent for a moment. Then my dad said, "You're never going back there again." And they didn't just mean for sleepovers. They cut contact with my aunt and uncle completely. No visits, no calls, just done. And I haven't heard from them since.